Let's get into that NFL. Week 13. So obviously you already know about Detroit and Chicago. That was so pathetic that the Bears coach got fired. Elfersberger, whatever that turkey's name, and that was one of the dumbest, stupidest moves at the end. So that turkey deserved to be carved like a turkey. How can you be that dumb? Detroit's playing some close games. They must be trying to mirror Kansas City or something. It's interesting. But you saw that in Dallas and the Giants. Dallas was struggling against the Giants' fourth tier squad. That's pretty embarrassing. And the Giants still should have won. It's pretty bad. There's no standards now with certain games with some of these teams. And the Giants stink. The Giants stink, and the Bears ain't been the same since that game against DC, against Washington. And you know, Green Bay beat Miami. Miami can't play nothing in the cold. So anything December to January, if they're playing in the cold, you can put an L by it usually. And of course, you know about Kansas City and Las Vegas. The Kansas City is like Lucky Charms, the rabbit's foot, so magically delicious. They got all kinds of four-leaf clovers. They winning, but it's tight. Now let's get on to what happened Sunday. Houston beat Jacksonville. That whole hit on Trevor Lawrence. Well, I didn't see worse. You know, you don't dive, guys hit you. It happens. You know, Houston won a game for a change. Jacksonville was stuck with Mac and Cheese Jones. Made the game close. I don't condone no illegal hits, but it is football after all, and quarterbacks are going to take hits. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks not get that call, so, but he'll be okay, though. But Houston won the game. But Houston's one of those kind of teams that kind of like Washington. They got more promise in the future, but right now their flaws is very showing. They got to finish up better than that. Indy beat New England. Quite a game for Anthony Richardson with everything that's going on this year. New England was in the game. They stuck with a bad Poochie. Turkeys can't kick. Well, and a Vinatieri, long or you missed. There's a lot of Poochies out here. A lot of teams would be in different shape if they had some guys who could actually kick anything inside 40 yards. But a good win for the Colts. Jonathan Taylor. If it wasn't for Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, he might be the most talked about running back going. He's been solid. Chargers beat Atlanta. And I know all about the Chargers defense. First of all, we are talking about Kirk. Kirk ain't your cousins. Turkey always throwing picks. That's what it came down to. Some bad interceptions. Really wasn't so much the Chargers did much. It's just that he turned the ball over, which he usually do. That's why when you look at him, you have a knee jerk reaction because on one side of you, you say, yeah, you could be a low first, high second tier. But another time he a third tier quarterback who's been hustling and taking money, and he looked bad as usual. Time you give him a chance to think he gonna do something, he blows it. As for the Chargers, they played consistent. They did enough to win the game, but it wasn't so much they did anything. Just Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins. The crazy game was Seattle and the Jets. Now the Seahawks were down 14 to nothing. Almost looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers. And you know they're gonna be some heads on sticks saying they could be the best 3-8 team. They're gonna still clap that these turkeys are gonna come back. He old and done, just like LeBron James. Don't be fooled by a couple of moments, because Father Time is winning. And Aaron Rodgers, like on script, threw that 92-yard interception. And that was the difference in the game. Geno Smith did enough, but these teams were trying to give each other the game. It was pretty sad, actually. It was like watching the Stooges out there. And, of course, a couple Poochie kickers and some bad situations. But somebody had to win the game in Seattle. I guess by default's in first place in that sorry excuse called AFC and the NFC West. So, but it's bad. And Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to play much better than you did today. And you still lost. Washington beat Tennessee. Now, Will Leaving is actually doing pretty good for Tennessee. He didn't step his game up, not as many turnovers as before. But Washington uh, look poised. They got back on the winning streak. They got to finish up strongly though. This is about what they can do, making the playoffs and making a dive. So we're going to see what they got. Daniels was very poised. They beat a team they're supposed to. They supposed to beat Tennessee, and Washington is a playoff bound team. But I look for them in a year or two to see what they really are. This is just kind of like the breeding ground where they're just getting started. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, probably the game of the day. Can you now Russell Wilson 400 yards looked like his old self went off. Pickens is like Antonio Brown Jr. Whopper. He's hilarious kicking that ball in the stands. I laughed. Mike Thomas said he got to grow up. How many times have you said that, Mike Thomas? While you have gone 20 years without a losing record and you can make anybody look good at quarterback, them receivers you get, they be on that Kanye tip. You don't know what they gonna do. That's part of being a Steeler, I guess. Ain't no defense. Joe Burrows, for the team that talks more trash than the Bengals, and Joe Burrows be putting up numbers, but he throws picks too. How do they beat themselves so much? This team doesn't make no sense to logic. Probably, dare I say, the most oxymoronic thing. The best 4-8 team you gonna see that ain't gonna make the playoffs, but is entertaining as all get out, and is in all the games, but yeah, finds ways to lose. They need a new coach. And I told you Zach Taylor is killing Joe Burrow's career. Just like what Harbaugh is helping Herbert, that's what Burrow's gonna need. Because that one Super Bowl appearance, I'm mighty afraid you might kind of be like the Sergio Garcia quarterbacks. You remember when Sergio had that moment in 99 and then went for 20 years? Yeah, it might be a long time before we hear from you again because it ain't coming your way and y'all find more ways to lose. Minnesota beat Arizona. Talk about a puzzling situation. Well, yeah, back to Atlanta again. I want to talk about that Poochie kicker because he sucked too. That dude be missing too many kicks. That's another thing I forgot to mention in that game. Minnesota's, if I think Kansas City's lucky, then what is Minnesota at 10-2? I can't quite figure out how good they are, what Sam Darnold does. They find ways to win. It ain't pretty, but they 10-2. They're probably the one team that's a head scratcher. They're 10-2. But what do they really mean? I don't even know. Kyler Murray, you can't really hold it on him too much. He's actually playing good. It's just that Arizona finds ways to lose games, and that's problematic. Minnesota won. The Rams beat New Orleans. It was like an old slugfest. The Rams are one of those kind of teams. You don't know which team is going to show up on Sundays. They got offensive firepower. You just don't know who's going to show up. And they tend to make games a lot bit closer. But their offense is legit, so keep your eyes. Tampa Bay beat Carolina in overtime, but let me tell you something. Carolina outplayed them. And Baker Mayfield looked like his old fraudulent self. I mean, Mike Evans looked good, but Baker was up there turning the ball over, and they didn't look good. And Bryce Young, I know, you get benched twice, and you ready to ride the pine and hold a clipper, but no, slow it down. You've been playing pretty good. They stink, but they in some games. They just, they do stink, and they got 10 losses. It's kind of hard to sell it when you suck, but he's been playing pretty good. They should have won this game, though. I don't know how they didn't. And Tampa Bay ain't going to last long if they get to the playoffs. They're not that good. And they were very lucky in this game. So it was supposed to have been the game of the day. There was last two games supposed to get them days, which they weren't. Baltimore, Justin Tucker got old. He shanked a couple kicks, but that's not why they lost this game. Philly's defense, which is underrated, I think, really did a good job on Lamar. Did him the old way. Derrick Henry he had a good game, but he didn't have a Derrick Henry game. Kept him in check. Saquon Barkley was solid, was very, very, very good. Philly's line did the thing. Jalen Hurts, they made enough plays. That's what it came down to. It was old-fashioned. It was close. It's 24-19. Baltimore missed a couple field goals, but the thing about it is that they got physical with them where Baltimore wasn't gliding. You keep away from turnovers. You don't shorten the field. And you don't let Lamar pull one of them razzle-dazzles. Philadelphia won a gutsy game. I think this pretty much clinches the NFC East for Philly. This was a huge one because they got tiebreaker then over Baltimore would beat them because Baltimore beat Washington and Dallas. So I think Philly's in a position where they are clearly the second best team in the NFC. Their defense travels well too, by the way. So keep an eye because everyone is talking about Saquon, and Saquon got a chance to get 2,000 yards and be MVP, and he's carried the team on his back. But don't sleep on that Eagles defense. I'm telling you, that defense has been playing some ball. And they came up big. They made some stops. Buffalo beat the 49ers, and Josh Allen looking like an MVP worthy. The Bills been on a consistent streak, but they did play against the 49ers fifth tier string. I mean, it wasn't exactly like, because there was a couple of instances, the 49ers missed a couple field goals and the fumbles by the goal line in the snow, which is trademark Buffalo. But they still should have beaten them by 20. That was no brainer that the Bills were the better team last night. Bills are doing what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to beat a bad team and put them out their misery. So the Bills are going to obviously got the AFC East all wrapped up. Now, worst case, they're finishing second in the AFC East. Somewhere between first and second, they beat Kansas City. So it's going to be real interesting how it comes down. Because Baltimore lost and Pittsburgh is riding underneath the chain. So we're going to see how it all plays out. It's going to be interesting. Now there's one more game, which I'll cover tomorrow with Denver and Cleveland. And that could go either way. But Denver is on the roll right now. But Jameson might share something to say about it. But anyway, another week of bad kickers, bad coaching. It's just like a trademark. Bad coaching, bad kickers, and some sloppy defense and some sloppy plays. But you're starting to see some teams that are emerging. So tell me how your team did below. Please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments. And I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another and share if you like. And hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.